Hey guys, so I also wanted to add to my other video about the nails. It's so important to obey God, whether we understand or not, right? When he kept telling me to do that, I had no idea it was because he was trying to give me encouragement, reassurance, and romance me, right? I mean, who don't like to get their nails done, right? And so the Lord wants me to share another testimony of what it looks like to obey him when it doesn't really make sense. Because to be quite honest with you, when he was telling me about my nails, it really didn't make sense. I was like, I don't really got time, but okay, Lord. And when I did it, I was like, oh, wow, I needed this. So there was also a time where he had me, once he told me in June to come forth and be more active on social media. I want to say it was no more than a few weeks in. He was like, it was like 11 p.m. my time. And listen, I got kids, so that's bedtime for me. That's like knockout time. I should already be asleep. I just happened to be up. And the Lord told me, I want you to get on live. I said, no, I'm gonna have to, take my bonnet off and, put a shirt on, or, I don't feel like doing that. But he kept telling me, get on live, get on TikTok live. So I did. I got on live, and I was kind of arguing with him, like, this makes no sense. I don't have anybody to talk to, and at this time, it's like a really bad time to want to get online because, that's when the people come out and they're always like trolling or being pervy. So I was like, I don't want to get on here, but I did, and I obeyed him, and he told me to sit on there for an hour. So I did, and I literally just did that. It was nothing going on. I thought maybe he wanted me to pray for somebody. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is what it is. He wants me to pray. Realistically, no, there was nobody to pray for. It was nothing. I think one guy was hitting on me, and that was it. I ended the live, and the point is, I obeyed God. And later, I'm talking almost like that night, he showed me things, but it wasn't until 2 weeks later that he gave me the reason why he told me to do that. And he told me that, one, it was a test to test my obedience. Even at this point where he knows if you tell me to jump, how high, Lord? But even still, he was testing to see if I was going to go live on account of what he tells me to do, or me, even if it makes no sense, right? This is so important because later when he starts using me to do Bible studies or different things, is it me doing it, or is it him leading me to do it? And that is so important in these last days, to make sure we're operating in collaboration with him and not by my own accord. So he was testing my heart for that. But he also showed me that if I do things on my own without his prompting or instructions, the enemy is waiting at a door that my disobedience would open. And so remember, I told you there was one guy hitting on me. I actually had a nightmare that night in the spiritual realm of some sort of spiritual attack to a door of lust that was done by somebody who no doubt was into witchcraft and tried to get me to come into agreement with. And of course, I prayed against that dream, and the Lord showed me that he wasn't going to let any harm come to me. He was just trying to show me what it looks like with this fine line between when God allows us to use different platforms or things, when he sends us out into the world, how not to get intermixed with the world or the attacks of the enemy. Because there is a covering, like he just showed me again with my nails, and then the Proverbs one, there is a covering over us, especially if he's the one calling you to do something. But he was showing me that if I don't obey him and I step on my own accord, then I just, even in that moment, that slight act of disobedience, open the door to an attack of the enemy in whatever that looks like. I'm not saying it's going to be lust for other people. It could be something else, but the enemy is waiting and ready, right? And so despite my good intentions, like let's say if I, did this, if he didn't tell me to go live and I just did it just to do it, despite my good intentions with ministry and obviously knowing I'm called to it, I would have unknowingly came into a partnership with the enemy in an attack he wanted to do against my life, which would have further down the line hindered the work of God through me because I didn't wait upon the Lord. And there's a story about this in the Old Testament. I forget exactly where. I'll try to find it when I edit this video to insert it. But the army of the Lord didn't inquire of the Lord, and they got deceived by the enemy, because that's all it takes is one time. And so he was testing my obedience when he told me to get on TikTok live, despite the logic, right? I don't know anybody to get on here with me, Lord, is to pray for somebody. However I was trying to reason it, he didn't care. He was testing my obedience. And so, the Lord's instructions may not make sense to us, but it safeguards us. When you're walking in one accord, the enemy cannot touch you. He can't. He cannot touch. He just has to sit and watch and be mad, right? So even though the enemy was present on this app and other apps and other avenues of life, whether God calls somebody to go stand on a corner and preach, whatever it looks like, the enemies are everywhere, okay, right? But where darkness is, light is way much more, infinitely more. Just like Elisha, right? Where darkness was caving in and people were freaking out, Elisha was chilling because there was chariots of fire. All of heaven fights for us, right? So a lot of that goes with us making sure we're in right standing, which only comes through obedience. Honestly, it's just trust and obey. There's no other way. There really is. And so if God has you somewhere, just make sure you stay that way. And then there's another example in the Bible about that. Jacob's daughter, remember when she stepped out to look at the daughters of the land, she stepped outside of their camp, their boundary, and she got defiled by somebody who was waiting, right? Because she, no doubt, they could look in. It wasn't like there was big cement walls, so they were watching her and probably thought, man, she's beautiful, I want a taste of that. And when she stepped outside to go look at the land and stuff, which is not necessarily in itself wrong, right? But nonetheless, she stepped outside of that boundary and got defiled. And so that's what the Lord was showing me. And so he tests me in a lot of ways with that, because I'm glad he does, because I definitely don't want to do none of this without his approval or his guidance, because it's just too much responsibility. If you really understood the responsibility behind the things that we do, despite good intentions, you just don't want to even do it all together. To be quite honest with you, I'm just being honest. Now, I do it because God tells me to, and I want to obey him, but I'm hoping that this also inspires and encourages you to always go to the Lord for all things. Or when he's leading you, obey him in something and it doesn't make sense, still just obey him, just trust him, despite what it is, because we're physical and our logic is not God's absolute wisdom and truth, and he is a spiritual natured God, right? This realm is what we're limited to. He's above it. So don't doubt, don't question if it's him. Now, I do understand still in the space of navigating discernment, making sure you're hearing his voice. Am I hearing you? Is it this or that? Nonetheless, I really do hope this helps. And I just wanted to kind of add back to this because the Lord was leading me to also give another example. So I made that video, I guess, a bit too short, but praise God, I came back, circled through with that obedience and got this other part of that posted for you guys. So God bless you.